Hey guys, this is Rocking3 bringing another commentary Forza 5. This is going to be a parts and tune video. I'm bringing out the 1995 Ford Cobra SVT, and it has some interesting facts on it. I've really kind of built it as an all-around vehicle. It's not. You can actually do a lot of different things with this. You can make it a speed car. You can make it a handling car. So many things you can do with it. It's a very versatile car. This one is going to be kind of in the middle. It's not a speed car, as I have race tires on here. It's still a plenty fast vehicle. I think it's near about 400 horsepower. But I made a couple key adjustments. I think that it should be a starting point. You know, as far as whether you make it a speed car or if you make it a handling car, you could take it from there. But there's one key part that I want to show you guys when it comes to this car. One that you should have and then one you should not use. I'm not driving very well here. But that GNX I put out there is about 250th place, I think, so it's a pretty strong time. This Cobra's a little bit faster. I think that the guy just really drove a better lap than I did. So it'll be interesting to see if I can gain any time. A little bit, not much. We'll do one more lap just for the fun of it. You can see I'm a little bit faster there. Hit the brakes a little bit this time. I'm not trying to cut the grass quite as much. Pitched it left and right. One thing I didn't do with this car is put on full aero, which I think might have helped it out. Let's call that a fine-tune adjustment, a major adjustment. Pretty happy with the braking on it, pretty happy with the acceleration. Acceleration is not quite as fast as like the GNX and the dolly and stuff like that. You can see that it kind of pulls away there, but when it comes to fourth gear it keeps pulling, so we got to make sure you have some straightaways. There. Okay. Trying to follow and see if we can do a really good comparison. Oh no, I let off the gas, and I dove in. I should never let off the gas. So if I would have stayed on the gas, I would have went out further and I would have had a little bit more speed. But that's alright. You'll still get a good idea what it does here. We should be able to tighten this up a little bit here at the end because in my fourth gear I definitely catch this GNX. Not enough time. Alright, that's good for the lapping. We'll see you over in the parts bin. Okay, and we're back. So let's go check out the parts on this. We're going to start with the conversions, and I did not do an engine conversion on that one. I left it a rear-wheel drive, and I went the last centrifugal supercharger. I did the math on it, and I gained more horsepower per PI by going with the centrifugal over the twin turbo. That was within a combination of the turbo upgrade down here, but let's get down there. I'm going to have stock air filter, stock ignition, stock exhaust. This is the one of the key components I was talking about. So this sport cam allows the RPMs to go up higher. So when you have the stock, you can only go up to about 6,000 RPMs, a little bit over that. With the upgraded here, just this middle one, sports, you can actually rev it up to over 7,000. And that's key with a combination of the gear ratio and the transmissions that I'm using on this car as well. You're going to want to use this one when I'm using the stock transmission. If you're using the race transmission, you could probably go with the stock, but you're kind of defeating your purpose there as well. We have the stock valves. I have the stock displacement, stock pistons, and here we're going to have the middle sport centrifugal supercharger. Just ran out of PI there. And I'm going to have stock intercooler, stock oil and cooling, and a stock flywheel. I'm going to have race brakes, just to show you that. I'll have the race springs and dampers. I'll have the race front and rear anti-roll bars. The chassis is going to be the full roll cage. And we did the full weight reduction. You can see there's a big difference in handling and braking in those numbers. I'm going to go with the stock clutch. I stayed with the stock transmission. And let me just stop here and talk about this one for a second. So the reason why I went with the stock transmission and not the sport transmission is even though you can adjust the final drive on this one, you cannot adjust the 5th gear. It's a 5-speed. And the difference between the 4th gear and the 5th gear is so great, you actually lose acceleration by shifting to 5th gear. I was trying variations of revving it up as high as I could in 4th, but it just dropped too low. And then of course with the 6-speed, you have 5 additional PI. So my suggestion would be to use either the stock transmission, do what I do here, or go with the race transmission and start playing with the PI a little bit in other areas. We have the sport drive line, just to fill in the 600, and we have the race differential. Tires, this is what makes it really fast and really multifunctional, is this race tire compound. You'll see how much it drops every single time in handling and braking when I go down a set. So this car is definitely dependent on the tires that you run. Now I did run a speed Mustang that I ran these tires with, but there's a pretty big difference in the braking and the handling. But you do get a lot of PI, so you can play with that and make a speed one if you would like. I have the stock front width and I have the full width in the rear. Again, that one helped a lot with handling and braking. I filled in a little bit of PI here. I've used the Motive MLs. I usually go with the heavier wheel, but it gave me one additional PI, or it filled in one more additional PI because I was on these. I was on 599, so it made the tires a little bit lighter. Running the rim width in the middle, 255 35 19s in the front and 25 19s in the rear. We have the front Forza spoiler, and we have the rear Forza spoiler. And I didn't look at any hoods or anything like that. It looks like you could change whatever you would like. And while I'm in here, I am going to change it. That was kind of cool. Let's be a little more subtle. So we'll actually lose a little bit of weight there and not increase any PI. So that would be the parts. I would definitely play around between the transmissions and the upgrades that I did. You could make a different combination. Maybe you could make it, like I said, a speed one or a turning one. Tires, I have 28.5, pretty standard for me. Stock gearing, so there's no change there. I went with the basic negative 2.1 in the front and negative 1.8 in the rear. I didn't play with that setting too much. I just had a decent tune on it. You could start there, and I know a lot of cars are going with a lot more camber. You could increase that if you want. This toe I left stock. I left 0 in the front and negative 2 in the rear, and I increased my front caster to 5.5. Anti-roll bars, since it's a muscle car, it runs pretty standard, 23.12 in the front and 20.21 in the back. And the springs softened them up about 140 pounds since I lightened up the car, so 655.8 in the front, 614.9 in the back. Left the ride height alone at 5.9. It could probably come down a little bit, and that's a little bit tall for a car. Around the tracks that I run that on. The rebound stiffness in the front, 9.2 and 8.6 in the rear. That's probably pretty close to what it was originally. Bump stiffness, 4.0 and 2.0. That was the starting point on the bump stiffness. I didn't have any problems with it, so I didn't have to soften it up any, and I wasn't losing traction. I left the downforce right in the middle. That was just out of the box stock. If you want to add more cornering, I think the car would actually be helped with a little bit more downforce, but I didn't get a chance to play with that too much. My standard braking, 53 in the front and 140 in the back, typical muscle car. And front acceleration or rear acceleration is 40% and 8% for deceleration. Alright, that was the tune. It's actually pretty good. It'll probably be in the top 250 on a lot of different tracks, and I think it'll be a really good multiplayer car because it handles so well. It doesn't quite accelerate as fast as some of the other multiplayer cars, but it keeps up. It does pretty well, and it has a good top speed as well. Alright, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you next video. Later.